Hello YouTubers, my name is Attila Mate from Blue Sky Photography, and today I would like to talk to you about a topic which is a very controversial topic in the world of photography, and many photographers will agree and many will not agree about this, and that is the IBIS, the in-body image stabilization or vibration control, or whatever you want to call it. Is it important or not in photography? Now, I have to tell you something over here that, like I said many times, I am more a photographer, and I do also video for my YouTube channel, and I do for myself for pleasure, you know, but I don't shoot video professionally. I'm more like a photographer. But as as from a photographer and from this perspective, you know, looking, I will speak about the in-body image stabilizations and my opinion about this, if it's important or not. Now, first of all, let's take the photography. Obviously, many times I hear people saying that, oh, this camera has in-body image stabilization, it is really good. Yes, it is good. But in the same time, you have to realize that in some situations you don't use at all. You don't get any help. Let's call it that way, you know. The example, I give you some example. Yeah, I'm a wedding photographer, also portrait and wedding photographer. But in the weddings, the in-body image stabilization is almost useless. You can't use it, and I tell you why. Because you don't have. Yeah, it would move your shake, you know, your handshake. It would help with that, but in the same time, your subject is moving. So you cannot lower your shutter speed, because if you lower your shutter speed, you know, it will be motion blur in your photos. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of useless. Now, again, if we speak about sports photography or wildlife photography, where you shoot birds, you know, and the birds are flying, and you move your hand, you know, it might help a tiny little bit, you know, with your handshake, but that doesn't really matter, because your shutter speed has to be up high 1,000th of a second, because that bird is flying, you know, or that soccer player is running like hell, you know. How you want to shoot with 1/60th of a second or 1/100th of a second? You cannot shoot, because if you shoot with 1/100th of a second, your photos will be blurry. So if we take in consideration all this, the in-body image stabilization is not really appealing, and it's not really very critically important in your photography. Obviously, if you are, I don't know, nature photographer or landscape photographer, and you don't want to use tripod, and because you don't want to carry around tripod, and you want to lower your shutter speed and nothing is moving in your shot and this and that, fair enough. It is helpful. It is really helpful over there. That's true. Or if you want to have, I don't know, a night shot with a portrait, you know, and your subject is able to stay very steady, you know, and these kind of things, yes, it is helpful over there. But other than that, in these kind of situations I mentioned, you know, it is not helpful at all, because you have to use your higher shutter speeds to freeze the movement in the shot, you know, anyway. So if you use a 1,000th of a second shutter speed, I don't think that there is a difference if you use image stabilization or not. I don't know. I don't think so. But I will make a test of this, you know, but I don't think so. I never tried intentionally, you know, but I will try. I will try. I'm very curious about this, you know. But I did try with slower shutter speeds, like 1/500th of a second, and it was no difference at all, you know. I didn't see any difference, honestly. If it is a difference, it has to be a hair, a very tiny little difference in it, but I didn't see. Now let's move a little bit forward. This was in photography. Now, if you get in videography, things are changing over here suddenly, and it is changing a lot, because in videography, it is really important. In videography, it can be a lifesaver if you have in-body image stabilization. Now, if you are a photographer and a videographer, suddenly in-body image stabilization, it is really important and critically important for you. Or lens stabilization if you don't have image stabilization. Because the example, the Fuji X-T20 has lens stabilization, doesn't have the in-body image stabilization, but in the same time, the lens stabilization is pretty good. It's not as good as the in-body image stabilization in many times, like in Olympus and Panasonic. They are really, really good. So in the Fuji is not as good as that, but in the same time, it is good enough for what I do, for what I use. Now, obviously, I'm not doing a lot of vlogging style videos, because then you are using in-body image stabilization a lot when you walk a lot, with your camera in the hand. But let's talk about the in-body image stabilization now, or lens stabilization. So if you are in video, because your shutter speeds are really low, and you are moving, this will be very important. Now in video, to compensate, the movement, to be able to reduce the movement as much as possible, you will also have to use wider angle lenses. Now obviously the lens stabilization or the in-body image stabilization will be much more effective with shorter focal lengths, wider lenses. And if it will be much less effective with zoom lenses, with long focal lengths, like 150 millimeter, or 200 millimeter, or 300 millimeter. Now there are obviously Panasonic cameras and Olympus cameras have great in-body image stabilization. I tell you, it's one of the best. I think that Olympus is the best in my opinion. Now after that, Panasonic. Now those cameras, even if you shoot with a 400 millimeter lens, the stabilization will work perfectly, and that is great. Especially the Panasonic G9. I didn't test with a 400 millimeter lens, but I saw a video where the guy was with 400 millimeter lens and he did shots like 1/50th of a second, something like this. I was like 1/5 of a second, sorry. I was like, man, that's unbelievable, It's unbelievable. But it worked great, with that. So like I said, in one way it's not really important, but in the other way, in video, it is critically important. Now if you shoot video only for YouTube, you are always on tripod, that's not an issue at all. You don't need that. But in the same time, if you shoot video vlogging style without in-body image stabilization, your video footage will be, it's not really watchable. So I don't really recommend that. Now, this is my opinion, and as I said, maybe some photographers will agree, some will not agree. Now, obviously, I am not somebody who knows everything. Maybe I left something out of this video, and if you think that I left something out of this video, feel free and leave a comment down below and share your opinion with us. I'm always very curious to find out your opinion, and I think that that's the beauty of this work, that we don't agree all the time. And maybe you are right and maybe I'm wrong, or maybe backward, maybe I'm right and you are wrong. So who knows? So feel free and leave a comment down below and let's discuss it in professional manner. I think that for some people, in-body image stabilization, it is critically important. For some people, not at all. And this is up to you completely to decide whether you need it or not. What kind of work you want to do with your camera, what kind of jobs you want to do with your camera. And that's what it decides if you need, whether you need image stabilization or you don't need it. So I hope that this video will be helpful to someone. I hope that you liked it. If you liked it, please like and subscribe and share my videos. If you want to support this channel, feel free and give me a thumbs up. And other than that, I wish you a great day and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.